Quazi here. After getting into the personal development journey and learning about the principles of reality creation, I started to see great success by the age of just 20. First, I mastered the area of fitness, got into the best shape of my life. Then I mastered school, got the best grades and actually graduated magna cum laude in mechanical engineering from a pretty prestigious university. And then I mastered dating, met the love of my life, and actually was able to get married to her. But one area of my life that I always struggled with was wealth. No matter what I did, I could never crack wealth. I desperately wanted to quit my 9-to-5, and I tried many different strategies that you may have even heard of. I tried many different opportunities like dropshipping, to trading, to even trying to tutor my college friends for money. Nothing gave me the kind of success that I was after. I really just wanted to make 20K a month so that I could avoid spending the rest of my life at a boring desk job. And I figured 20K a month is what it would take me to live the kind of lifestyle that I wanted to live and travel. After hitting a wall with every effort, I was very frustrated, and one day I came across a book that changed everything for me. This book is called The Kybalion and was written by the great Hermes Trismegistus and is based on teachings from the ancient Emerald Tablet. According to legend, the Emerald Tablet was inscribed somewhere between the early 8th and 9th century by the Egyptian priest Hermes Trismegistus. The tablet's inscriptions outline the principles of mental transmutation, the secrets of alchemy, and how these ancient laws that we all have access to can transform the reality around us. But what's even more interesting is that Hermes claimed to have received this occult wisdom from the Egyptian god Thoth himself, and for centuries, this tablet was secretly passed down from civilization to civilization, with its teachings only reserved for the select few who were chosen. Now, this book outlines 7 main laws, but only one of them was the thing that changed my life forever. And this law is the law of causation. And the law says, every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. I realized that there was one main reason I was able to crack every area of life except wealth. And it had to do with getting to the root cause and not just the mere effects that I was seeing. And after doing what I'm going to share with you in this video, I was able to make my first 20K month within 13 months of setting the goal. And I made my first 100K month, $100,000 in one single month, 5 months after that. So, in today's video, I'm going to share with you how the law of causation allowed me to make my first million by the age of 23, and how you can use it to go beyond the effects of this illusory world that you're seeing and create real results, real wealth by being at the cause. And in order to do this, we have to understand 3 main things. Number 1, how the law of cause and effect actually works. Number 2, how to actually be at the cause. And number 3, the difference between inner and outer action. I'm super excited to share this with you. Let's jump right in. So in order to use the law of cause and effect, we have to first understand how it works. Unfortunately, most people don't properly understand it. They succumb to the sequence, the logical linear sequence that we see things unfolding in, which is what I'm going to share with you. And they can't see past it. We're always thinking from a limited perspective, especially modern science and everything that tries to explain phenomenon that's occurring. It's very linear. Unfortunately, our world is anything but linear. And once you understand this and you can use this, you break free from this linear thinking and you realize the true nature of reality, that it's non-linear. It doesn't follow a straight line. You're going to be able to influence events in the way that you want. Okay, and this was key for me to learn, that allowed me to quit that soul-sucking job, make 20K a month, more than 20K a month, make over $1 million every single year for the last 4 years, and actually live the life that I want to live. Okay? So it always begins with understanding that every cause and effect chain, every causal chain that you can notice right now, it appears to be stemming from some source. And on the surface, it looks like there is a visible, measurable cause of everything. But where does that come from? Have you ever noticed how you can always keep asking why? Right? Like, oh, why does this exist? This exists because that exists. Why does that exist? Why does that exist? When you were a kid, I'm sure you've gotten into battles with your parents or people older than you when you were asking questions like why. I know I did. Like, why? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? Why? And then you just get told to shut up. So that's pretty much why we can't really explain certain phenomena, because we keep looking at it from that linear lens. The truth is, though, that everything has an unseen source from which it stems. And to understand this properly, we have to investigate this causal chain. So if we have this linear sequence of events here, where A causes B and B causes C, it looks like A is causing B and B is causing C. When in reality, what's actually happening is all three of them, A, B, and C, are stemming from an unseen source. I want you to pay close attention to this, because if you understand this, it's going to change everything forever. I have this green box here. The illusion of life, the Maya, as the ancient yogis would call it, the illusion, it appears to us that A is causing B and B is causing C. But what's happening is A, B, and C are independent manifestations of each other. To our logical mind that likes to fill up the gaps, the intellect, if you will, that likes to divide and conquer, break things up, tear things apart to try and explain things, it tries to make it tries to fill in the gaps, right? Have you ever noticed how there's certain memories that you have and you kind of have a faint recollection of it, and then when you talk to someone, it turns out it's a completely different recollection because your mind fills up the gaps of things it cannot understand. It likes to make assumptions because then it makes the world a safer place to live. That is our survival conditioning. We want to be safe, and we can only be safe if we understand things. What's the biggest thing we're afraid of? The unknown, right? The darkness, the unknown. That's what we're trying to avoid subconsciously all the time. And that is just our survival conditioning. To evolve past that, we need to use a more powerful mechanism that's available to each and every single one of us. And that's what I'm getting to. So every single cause and effect chain, A, B, and C, is actually caused by an unseen source. You may call this the ether, you may call this consciousness, whatever you want to call it. So A is actually coming from this unseen source. B is also stemming independently from this unseen source, and so is C. Okay? Now, when this happens, to give you a proper example of this, let's take the instance of me finding the coaching business, right? Me making 20K a month. Originally, I started out with the intention of having a business that I love and I enjoy, that gives me freedom. Then what happened was I had the idea to start up a YouTube channel. So A in this instance would be Quazi starts up YouTube channel, right? Upon starting up my YouTube channel, after 6 months, I had a lady reach out to me for coaching. She expressed interest that she wanted to work closer together with me. Then I had the idea from that event. So let's say B is lady reaches out for coaching. Lady reaches out. And then I had the idea, holy shit, I can start up a coaching business and help people attain a transformation while at the same time monetizing it. That will get me to the 20K a month and that freedom that I want to get to. So C, I doubled down on coaching business. But before then, I had no clue. I had no clue what direction I wanted to follow, right? I was just trying different things. I was throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks. But it appears that there's this causal chain where the YouTube channel led to lady reaching out, led to me doubling down on coaching business. This is on the surface what appears to be the cause, right? A is causing it all. If I didn't start the YouTube channel, none of it could have happened. And maybe that's the case. However, the more likely case is that it began with the unseen source, the unseen cause, which was me making that original intention to have a 20K a month business doing something that fulfills me. And then life created what's known as the bridge of incidents to lead me towards that. So I want you to write this down if you're taking notes. The bridge of incidents. This bridge of incidents could have happened in any possible way. This is why it sucks when people keep trying different things. They're always focused on the how. How is it going to happen? I want to get to 20K a month. How is it going to happen? Instead of strengthening that vision that they have for their lives. What we teach our clients is to first get fully clear on what, why, what they want, why they want it, and who they must become in order to achieve it. When you achieve this trifecta of clarity on intellectually what you want, emotionally what you want, and at the identity level, understand who you must become in order to experience that life, then the how and the when get taken care of all on its own. But you can see how the what, why, and who are an unseen source. You can't really, it's not tangible. You can't really measure it. You can't measure the level of your clarity. Maybe you can, but you can't really hold your thoughts, right? So some unseen, invisible source is causing all of these manifestations to come about. This bridge of incidents could have happened, in my case, in any other way. I could have been presented with a different business opportunity that resonates more with me. Maybe, but it just feels, so when the right things happen for you in your life, it's going to almost feel like it was destiny. That means you're congruent to your soul purpose, okay? Now, I want you to understand how we can use this, right? Now that we understand that everything really stems from an unseen source, at first the builder has a blueprint in his mind, then puts it down onto paper, and then he actually gathers the workers and makes that vision, turns it into reality. Now let's understand what actually causes, what is the root of the unseen source. You know, really getting deep down into this hermetic law. And this is what it is. At the surface level, you can almost tell. You can measure thought. Thoughts can be measured. So it appears like thoughts are influencing our reality, doesn't it? And yes, that's true. Thoughts definitely are. What's influencing thoughts though? What influences the predominant thoughts that we think? What influences the predominant thoughts that we think are beliefs that we hold to be true, that we're not consciously aware of. They've been ingrained within us. Within beliefs, however, there are two main types of beliefs that we hold to be true. Outer beliefs, where we have certain views about the world around us, certain beliefs about the world around us, but those outer beliefs are actually caused by something else. Can you guess what that is? Those are what's known as inner beliefs. Beliefs that we have about ourselves in relationship to our world. This is what's known as identity. In the next part of this video, we're going to discuss how you can use this law of cause and effect, influence your inner and outer beliefs so you can experience the change that you want to see in your world. Kind of like I did when I went to that freedom that I wanted to experience from that job that I was miserable about. So let's get to that right now. Now let's talk about how to actually be at the cause, how to go beyond this linear thinking, looking at A causes B causes C, and get to that unseen source and tap into that unseen source. In particular, go to those inner beliefs, the identity. What you have to understand is, in my journey, when I went along to making that 20K a month, when I started off, I was in a completely different place and I was a completely different person. So the first thing that I learned from my mentors and from my research was I needed to be the kind of person who's worthy and deserving of making 20K a month. I had to be worth it. And I had a lot of these false beliefs around money and I believed that the rich were evil and I couldn't be rich unless I was gifted and talented in some way and I was born with it or I was born into money. And I also believed that the economy was unfavorable to X, Y, and Z kind of business. And I was very, very afraid of risks. I was always holding on to the little bit of money that I had, afraid to invest in myself, afraid to spend it in fear that it would go away and never come back. So I was basically a hoarder, right? And then I asked myself one simple question every single day for the better part of a year. I asked myself, what do I want? And the answer to that was, I want to make 20K a month because I figured that that 20K a month would allow me the kind of freedom that I wanted to have, the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And then I had to ask, who would I have to be to become that 20K a month Quazi? My self-perception had to change because guess what? Our inner beliefs override our outer beliefs. When I believe that I'm worthy and capable of making 20K a month, I then also believe that therefore it is possible for me, regardless of what's happening in the economy right now, to make 20K a month. Do you see how that works? When I change my inner belief, my outer beliefs change. The predominant thoughts I think change. The predominant feelings I feel change. And therefore the actions that I take also change. Have you ever been in a mailroom and you're kind of maybe looking for something that you were expecting, but you were uncertain whether or not it's there? And then you kind of get a notification on your phone from Amazon saying they definitely delivered it, so it is in this room. Then your search takes on a new level of conviction because you know it's there. It's just a matter of finding it. What if goal achievement could be like that for you? What if you already knew that you can achieve it? It is going to happen. It's just a matter of, finding it. It's just a matter of giving it some time and finding it. That's exactly what happened with me. When I was able to change that self-image that I had of someone who was destined to live a mediocre life because I have this college education and I would be lucky to make 6 figures and have health insurance, job security. And, the sacrifice for that is I would do something that makes me miserable every single day. And, maybe that's worth it. Maybe I can start living my life after retirement. How about I start living my life at 65 when I'm old and my bones hurt and the past 40 years of stress have worn me down? Yeah, maybe that will be a decent life. And then, maybe I'm doomed. Maybe I'm gonna die on my deathbed. And, I'm just gonna recount an average mediocre life that I've lived. And I'll always look at others and think, oh, I wish I lived. Fuck that. Fuck that. That's what was going through my mind when I keep thinking that. So I was very, very against mediocrity. Like one of my core emotional drivers is be exceptional. Whatever you do, do it exceptionally. Do it the best. That's why I put a lot of effort in these videos to give you guys as much as I can. It's also kind of personal to me because I want to be able to deliver the best I can every single video, give it my all, right? So I had to ask myself the very fundamental question is, who did I have to become to live that lifestyle that I wanted to live and be that 20K a month version of Quazi? And what happens when you ask yourself that simple question is, the quality of your life is determined the quality of questions that you ask. When you ask yourself that question, you start to look for the answer to that question. Then I started to look in my reality for, this is 20K a month version of Quazi. If I'm operating under that assumption that I already am, then what complements that? And when I held 20K a month version of Quazi top of mind every single day, what happens is there's this thing in your subconscious mind called the reticular activating system. It's a filtering mechanism. It filters out for things that you're looking for. It's incredibly biased. So when I look at me being a 20K a month version of Quazi and 20K a month, it filters out anything that doesn't lead to me getting to 20K months and shows me everything that would lead me to getting to 20K months. Okay? That's exactly what led me to starting up the YouTube channel, even though I didn't know at that moment that, I would be doing coaching. I thought maybe I'd do merch or something like that, but let's just start up a YouTube channel. Let's just make videos. That's the first step. Just do it. Whatever intuitive guidance you get on the first step, go ahead and do it. Don't spend time, don't waste your time on fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The right step will show up. Even if that's the wrong thing, it will lead you to the right thing, simply because you acted in congruence with your intuitive guidance. Okay? So that's the fundamental question I had to ask. And what you have to remember is that shift didn't happen overnight. It took me 8 months of thinking about it to overcome my fear of putting myself out in public and making these YouTube videos. Because in the past, when I was in middle school and I tried to make YouTube videos, I got bullied. And I was a little bit traumatized and I was a little bit afraid. I was a lot of bit afraid of making YouTube videos. But then I overcame it by asking myself another simple question. Which of the pains is greater? My sacrifice, living that mediocre life, or the pain of rejection? The greater pain always wins. Looking at my life, what it could look like 40 years from now, it was so painful. Like if I lived like this in this shitty job where people are literally trying to stick their arms in the machines to get workers' comp. I worked in a factory, like a machine, like a corrugated paper box plant, and everyone absolutely hated it there. It was a very negative, toxic kind of environment. It was very dark. There was no sunlight in there. So when I looked at that sacrificing that just to avoid rejection, clearly I don't want to do that. I'd rather be rejected and fail than not try at all and live the rest of my life in mediocrity. And the other thing that I learned was, this is a quote from the Kybalion: "The lips of wisdom are sealed except to the ears of understanding." When you are ready, when this vessel is ready to receive, the things that you want will show up. So the mission for you is to tap into that unseen source and become ready internally. Become that 20K a month version first. And when the time is right, the opportunities will show up for you. You just need to be patient and keep persisting on what you want. It will happen. It will happen. It's just a matter of when. Just like finding that box. It's just a matter of when. You already assume, you know it's there, and you just keep looking. So if we could summarize the 3 steps of operating from the cause, I would summarize it as follows. Number 1, get clear on who you must become. Every single day for the next month, 2 months, 3 months, just get clear on who you are being. Consciously choose who you're being today. If you are faced with a tough decision, what would the 20K a month version of Quazi do? Or what would this version of Quazi do? What would my higher self do? What would you, being the best you, how would you act in this scenario? And forgive yourself for past decisions that you made when you didn't act in accordance with your ideal self. So for example, if earlier today you snapped at your kid or you snapped at someone that you love and you know it was incongruent with your ideal self, forgive yourself for it. Don't waste energy. Don't waste your precious attention and energy attributing it to that. Instead, focus it and redirect it on, in this next moment, who will you be? There's no point fretting about the past. Just focus on the present, who you're being in this moment, and who you're choosing to be in that next moment. Okay? So first of all, get clear. Clarity will solve 90% of the problems, because when your subconscious mind has a goal, it will move towards it, because we have target fixation. That's how we work. Whatever target we have, we find ways to move towards it. Okay? The next part is very crucial. I didn't explicitly discuss it. It's a concept I learned in middle school literature called suspension of disbelief. But we have to suspend our disbelief. So for example, when I made the intention of going to 20K months, but my old self was like, you could never do this. You could never do this. You're not gifted, you're not talented, you're not born in a certain way. And again, that's subjective, right? That's my subjective opinion. And I believe that because that's what I've been telling myself for a very long time. You're not this, you're not that. Here are excuses, here's proof of why you can't. But that's my current reality, not the reality I want to create. Because remember, in this next moment of life, I can be, do, and have anything that I choose. And that's the reality, right? So I needed to suspend my current self. I needed to suspend disbelief. And the only way to do that is by being open. Okay, yeah, I've seen proof from the past that I couldn't achieve X, Y, and Z things. But that doesn't mean in the next moment this would happen. Let's see what happens. I'm open to seeing what happens. You know, I'm making the intention to become this 20K a month version of myself. Let's see what happens. Life is a playground. You'll see all successful people have this quality about them where they're open. Every time I've gotten closed off to life, I've always suffered. I've always turned down really great opportunities and I've always stayed stagnant at a certain point. There's times in your life where you have to balance being open with being closed. But you'll know that time is when you're feeling stagnant in your life and nothing is changing. Now you have to be open. Now you have to expand your comfort zone. You should be expanding your comfort zone every day anyways, but you'll understand your own balance as you become more and more aware. You become more and more clear, okay? You understand yourself and this character more, and you know how to push its buttons to activate it. And this is suspension of disbelief. When our mind is open, when our hearts are open, only then can we receive. We can't receive if we're closed off. It just doesn't work like that. And finally, there is what's called inner and outer action. So what we need to do is take consistent inner and outer action. So in the next part, I'm going to discuss with you what consistent inner and outer action are. When you take consistent inner and outer action, you basically get united with a force that's much greater than you are. And things almost just seem to happen overnight. So let's get to that right now. So now let's talk about the difference between inner and outer action and why both are necessary for you to piecewise, step by step, build out that dream life that you've been wanting to build out, okay? And how this helped me. So there's basically two types of actions that we can take. If you've noticed, most people or most gurus that you look at online, they talk about mindset and they talk about taking massive action. You gotta have mindset or you gotta take massive action. A lot of them do emphasize the need for both. I feel like they don't fully comprehend the extent to which this is required. Most gurus emphasize the need for massive action. That's great. Massive action is phenomenal. It's great. And I do believe that massive action is the easiest way to become successful because it's a foolproof, kind of like a formula. But it's very costly and it's also limited, right? If you just did the right things without being the right person and thinking the right thoughts, you're going to fight against a force that's stronger than yourself, okay? If you don't know how to push your buttons and motivate yourself, like all of the great top athletes who can do this day in and day out because they focus, they know how to focus on the right things, their love for the game, falling in love with the game and focusing on the outcomes that they want to see. Using tools like visualization. The reason they can go on long is because they understand the need for mindset. Unfortunately, when you just take massive action without the right mindset, things like burnout happen, you're burning the candle at both ends. You hear a lot of people saying that, so they can't really see any consistent, sustainable results. They achieve success 1 month and they go back down the next month. Why does that happen? Again, survival mechanism. They have a goal set in mind and they hit that goal. When they hit that goal, they kind of get depressed. They're like, oh, what's next? Man, I don't want to work hard again for another material goal. Nothing larger than them is pushing them, right? They don't really have that mindset component dialed down. This is where inner and outer action comes in. And I believe this is what helped me go from that miserable job to, doing something that I'm really, really passionate about. So let's understand what outer action is. Outer action is simply physical action. This is definitely necessary. Anyone who tells you, you can just sit on your couch and just visualize and you'll have everything you want is trying to sell you something. That's the truth. So, you can't just go ahead and mental masturbate all day and, have some goal manifest. Maybe you can. Maybe $1 million will show up at your door. But let's think about this a little bit logically, right? Like a little bit scientifically. Mankind has progressed past beasts and animals because of the ability to think intellectually and intelligently. So when we talk about physical action, we take physical action as opposed to just sitting on a couch and mentally visualizing. We're increasing the probability that that thing will happen. So scientists did an experiment where they took two groups. Group A worked out for 2 months straight, and Group B worked out for 2 months straight in their minds. They only visualized working out. Group A showed a 40% improvement. Surprisingly, Group B showed a 15% improvement. Still an improvement though, right? Still an improvement. So yes, it is possible, but why not have a higher probability of succeeding, higher odds of succeeding? You see what I mean? So if we can use everything that's available to us right now, why should we not? Why should we not? We should use everything that's available to us. So that's outer and physical action, which is very, very necessary. So what physical outer action does is it arranges everything in this current frame of reality. If you look at reality as a series of frames that are unfolding, kind of like a film reel. In this current frame, I can organize everything and make a direct impact just by acting, by my own will. I can will things. But in the next moment, it is difficult to influence the next future upcoming frames, especially with complex goals. That is when interaction is required. And interaction can really be defined as simply put choice or intention. Intention. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say you want to make yourself a sandwich and you know you have the ingredients in your fridge. So the thought, make a sandwich, or intention, you make the choice. There's an intention to make a sandwich. And then you simply walk to your kitchen and you take action, physical action to make the sandwich. It's a very low complex goal, but first the intention arises within you and you know in the next moment you can go and act and make your sandwich. Simple. Simple goal achieved through the conjunction of inner and outer action. Now, suppose you have a little more of a complex goal. Well, let's say you are in a 9-to-5 job, kind of like I was, and you want to make 20K a month. And so you make the intention of making 20K a month. And you keep making the intention. And then there's an opportunity like starting up a YouTube channel. So you go ahead and take action on it. Still, you have not reached this goal yet. It's a little more complex, therefore it takes a little more time. The complexity is determined by how far from your current lifeline that goal is. Energetically, if the goal is within the confines of your lifeline, of your comfort zone, let's say, your zone of functioning, then that goal is achievable in a shorter time frame. For example, you having the ingredients in your kitchen versus you not having the ingredients in your kitchen. Maybe you have to go out to the store and buy the ingredients to make yourself a sandwich. And the example of making 20K a month. Okay, you started the YouTube channel, still it did not happen. But when you started the YouTube channel, guess what you did? Guess what I did? I expanded the zone of my comfort. So slowly I'm doing these uncomfortable things that are in line, that are congruent to that goal of making 20K a month. I'm expanding my zone of comfort. Still, I keep that intention alive. Unfortunately, for most people, what happens, and pay very close attention to this. Unfortunately, for most people, what happens is they have fear, uncertainty, and doubt, or importance. They put the goal on a pedestal and they create resistance. So when they have that 20K a month goal, then they go ahead and act, they do something, and the thing doesn't turn out as they expected. Then they make a snap judgment, begin creating artificial resistance, and they can't overcome that, and that resistance is now consuming most of their intention energy, their inner action energy. Let me ask you this. When you went to go and make a sandwich, did you have any doubt in your ability to make the sandwich? Did you have any doubt or resistance in your ability to trust in your hands to make the sandwich? If it didn't happen, it wasn't a big deal. You would just you eat whatever sandwich you made, right? You would just eat it. It's not a huge deal. But for people, they'd start to make things like that 20K a month and that risk that they took a huge deal. So if you can simply suspend your disbelief, like we talked about, then what do you think would happen? Achieving your goals would become like making and eating a sandwich. Isn't that great? That can happen. That's definitely possible. But unfortunately, with how we've been conditioned, it's not very likely unless you are a mindset god. It's not very likely. There's a lot of people that I know who can lose millions of dollars and not bat an eye. They're like, oh, okay, lost money. Great, money flows. It'll come somehow. Doesn't bother them. But for a lot of us, we hold on to it and it really pains us, right? So it really just comes down to that. How persistent, because you need to stay with that intention. The problem is we can't stay with the interaction. We're not consistent with the inner and outer action. So when I have the intention to make the sandwich, I make the intention and I stay consistent. I stay through with the intention until I follow it through till the very end. And what happens for most people is when they make the intention of making 20K a month or growing their revenue, they stay with the intention for a bit until the fear, doubt, uncertainty grabs their attention and defocuses it, switches it, redirects it from intention to avoiding failure, resistance, fear, rejection, everything else, right? And when that happens, guess what? Your goal doesn't manifest. How surprising. So, now let's understand the two different types of interaction there exists. Two different types of intention. There is what's known as interaction and outeraction. Interaction is our resolve to do something. The resoluteness we have in our decision to do something. I'm going to launch massive action and just fight against the world to get what I want. That's inner intention. Outer intention is having. It's your resolve to have. It doesn't matter how it happens. I will have it. If I need to do this to get it, great, I'll do it. If I need to sit at home all day in order to have that and do nothing, I will have it. One way or another, I've made the decision, I will have it. It's done. Just like you make the intention when you have the sandwich, right? You make the intention to both go and make the sandwich, and to have. I don't care how it happens. I'm going to go and make the sandwich. And if it doesn't happen, great. It doesn't happen now. I'm going to have something. There's no importance there. It's devoid of all resistance. It's pure intention. And that, in conjunction with outer action, is the holy trifecta. Inner intention, outer intention, physical action. That's the holy trifecta of reality creation. You master this, you've mastered it all. So, what we want to do is unite all three of these. Uniting physical action with your resoluteness to have and your resoluteness to do whatever it takes. That is a frame of mind. Please understand that. Like the resoluteness you have, I'm resolute. Nothing can shake my intention. It will happen because I've said so. That's it. Done. And so it happens. So what I've gone and done for you, I've gone ahead and made a cheat sheet for you, outlining everything that we talked about in this video, so you can later apply it for yourself. I recently got a message from one of our clients, Tia, and she's been with us for over 4 years now, a student of our Reality Mastery program. When she joined us, she was around 300K in student loan debt. She was working 2 full-time jobs, 80 hours a week. She had no time to spend with her family and children, and she was just overwhelmed, overstressed, and she didn't know what to do. She came to work with us. We helped her craft that intention, become who she needed to be, shift that identity. Within 2 years, she went from that to starting her own speech pathology business, doing 40K a month. She literally just messaged me 2 days ago, and I just couldn't wait to share this with you. She literally just messaged me 2 days ago, and I can put it up right here, saying that all of her assets are now worth over $1 million, and she's completely out of debt, that 300K. She's now officially a millionaire, and that, I almost started crying. Like, I was so happy to see that. That made my entire month. Guys, I do this kind of stuff so we can produce transformations like this, and I know fundamentally what will produce a transformation is internally, at the root cause, if you can make a shift. Okay, if you change the way you've been perceiving yourself, perceiving your reality, do the interactions and the outer actions that will follow as a result. So I make this free stuff with the hopes that one day when the time is right, when you've already gotten some great results, you're ready to work closer together with me and my team, we can do that. So go ahead and download this cheat sheet. I hope it helps you out. My goal again is to get you some tangible results, so when the time is right, we can work together to make permanent changes just like Tia. And just know, as always, I'm rooting for you, fellow reality creator. So I'll see you in the next video, and go and click and download this cheat sheet right now. I hope it's helpful to you. Thanks.